So, hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the environment topic, uh, which is mostly relevant for the UPSC, and we are going to see why environment is important in UPSC in all the stages of the UPSC. So that is prelims, mains, and interview also. So if you see the pattern of the prelims, so there is almost out of 100 question, we can say the environment has a one of the largest weightage, and that is almost 25% of the question out of these 100 question is directly coming from the environment segment. Okay, so that's why it is very important. If you see the previous pattern, in 2015 almost 22 questions are there from the environment. So in 16 15 to 16 questions are there, in 17 18 to 20 questions are there. Similarly in the 18 in almost 18 questions are there, and in 2019 out of 100 questions almost 23 direct questions are from the environment. So that's why it is very important, because if you see the merit of UPSC prelims, so it generally goes to 105 to 110 marks, and because every question stand for the 2 marks, so 100 question means 200 marks are there. So out of these 200 marks, merit was like 50%, 50 to 55% is the generally merit every year. Okay, so if you want to secure such 105 to 110 marks, and if you want to get more than that marks so that you can land in safe zone, so if you want to clear that percentage of marks, we can say the 105 to 110 marks, so the environment is play very significant role, because if you count those question means tentatively we consider the 25 question, so it goes to 50 marks. 25 question, if you write the 25 question, so it is going to give you the 50 marks. So I am generally talking about the environment direct question, but some questions are co-relevant, or we can say in-disciplinary questions are also there. Means some of the question can be asked from the geography component. That is, we can say the location factors, means where is the national park, what is the location of that national park. If you properly understand the geography subjects, so that you can easily attempt those questions which are co-relevant with the geography and environment. Okay, so some of the question can be asked from the geography part also. So if you count those questions, means direct questions like 23 to 25 questions are expected, and indirect question from the geography segment, or even though from the biology segment, so that goes to at least minimum 30 questions. So that means you cover these all the part, or if you understand those parts, so you are going to get the 60 marks. So uh, there is if you see in the prelims, there are 7 subjects, and on of these 7 subjects 100 questions are going to be asked. So only from one subject, means environment subject, you are going to get 30 questions, means 60 marks. So you have to gain only extra 50 marks from remaining 6 subjects. So that's why it is very important in prelims, because why these weightage is larger. Many students have this question, why these larger weighted for the environment. So it is just because in the UPSC IFS exam is also there, means Indian Forest Service, and for the IFS prelims is similar to the for the same IS and IPS exam like this. तो आय एस आणि IPS च्या ज्या काही एक्झाम असतात, तर त्यांची सेम प्रिलिम्स आपल्या IFS साठी पण असते, मीन्स फॉरेस्ट सर्व्हिस साठी पण असते. सो त्यामुळे फॉरेस्ट सर्व्हिस मध्ये जास्त क्वेश्चन विचारण्यासाठी, मीन्स फॉरेस्टच्या पार्ट मध्ये एन्व्हायरमेंटला जास्त क्वेश्चन, जास्त वेटेज असल्यामुळे ते दोन्ही पण प्रिलिम्स एकच असल्यामुळे, त्यामुळे त्याच्यात जास्त मार्क्स यायला असतात. ठीक आहे, म्हणजे एन्व्हायरमेंट आणि जॉग्राफी टॉपिक वरती जास्त क्वेश्चन्स असतात. ओके, so if you see the mains pattern, so mains in mains directly environment subject is also mentioned in the GS part. That is mains GS, wherever it is a written one. So GS3, in GS3 environment is mentioned in GS3 part. So in GS3 almost 2-3 question can be asked from the environment topic, and almost it stand for the 25 to 35 marks. Okay, and it is out of 250 marks. Okay, so it is one of the largest, or we can say the deciding factor. So GS3 is also there, and in GS1 geography is mentioned, but from the geography perspective sometimes the question can be asked from the environment also. So 1 to 2 questions are expected. Okay, and in interview, uh, they can ask, interview panel can be asked the question which is on environmentalist approach. Okay, so what is the climate change, etc. What do you think about the climate change? So what climate change has the impacts on the overall global, etc. So the many questions are there from the also from the interview from the environmentalist approach. So if you study the environment with the right approach, so it will definitely going to be help to clear, or we can say to get the maximum work in every stage. Means it may be prelims, maybe mains, or it may be interview. So that's why we are going to start to learn the environment topic. So environment is very important. So if you divide the environment topic in 3 parts, so those 3 parts are the first part is the ecology and environment, second part is the biodiversity, and third part is the climate change. So these are the major components of the environment. So these 3 are the components. If you see the question pattern in the prelims, so every topic has the different weightage. Highest weightage is for the climate change topic, second highest weightage is for the biodiversity, and third weightage is for the ecology, or we can say the ecosystem. So maximum question can consecutively asked from this climate change topic, because it has the major relevance with the current affairs topic. Okay, we can say the dynamic and static part. So dynamic means current affairs part, and static means which is only come from the bookish knowledge, or we can say from the NCERT or some of the reference book also. Okay, so climate change is more inclined toward the current affairs part. So that's why major question always asked from the climate change topic. Okay, so in climate change, if you see the chart, so in climate change, global warming is there, greenhouse gas effect is there, then greenhouse gases, what is greenhouse gases, then pollution, what are the types of pollution, means air pollution, water pollution, then radioactive pollution, etc. Okay, so acidification, what is acidification, next topic is like ozone depletion, what is ozone, okay, etc, etc. So these are some of the topic for the climate change. And more important topic in this climate change is the international efforts to tackle with the climate change. So these are some topics from the climate change, and international organization has the more important in the climate change topic. Okay, so next topic is the biodiversity. In biodiversity, the static part is comparatively higher than the climate change part, because there are multiple definitions, we can say the what is national park, what is sanctuary, what is biosphere reserve, what is the difference between these all protected areas, etc. Okay, so these are the some static part, or but this part has the current affairs part also, because if you see the recent declared tiger, which is the recently declared tiger reserve, or if you see recently yesterday, or we can say 2-3 days before, Uttarakhand has come under the forest fire. So, which national park is affected because of this forest fire? So, such question are relevant to the current affairs also, and some conservation of biodiversity efforts taken by international organization, or we can say the national organizations. So, those question can be also asked from the biodiversity current affairs segment. Okay, and last is the ecology and environment topic, which is almost 90% static part. Only definitions are there, like what is ecotone, what is food chain, what is food web, etc, etc. So these are the ecology related. Static part is more, and so that's why it has the very less percentage of mark, because UPSC question pattern is also is always try to ask more question from the current affairs segment. Okay, so but the foundation must be clear, because if you want to attempt such question like current affairs related questions, so you have to uh, uh, get a good command over static part also. So after then you are going to attempt those questions. Okay, so let's start with our first session, that is first lecture is our environment. We are going to cover this part from the NCERT. So we are going to clear first, we are going to clear the basics of the environment. So if you properly understand the basics of the environment, so you are easily going to attempt any question from the environment topic. Okay, so environment is the very simple concept. So everything surround us. So it may be living organism or non-living organism, in environmental words, we can say the biotic or abiotic. Biotic means what? Which are the living organisms, and abiotic means what? Which are non-living organism, but it has the effect, it has the influence on your environment. So biotic and abiotic, or everything surround us, is known as environment. Okay, so that is the most important thing, and sum total of biotic factors, abiotic factors, and the influence they have on each other and the events happening around them is known as environment. So what is biotic, what is abiotic? So biotic is very simple. We already discussed that all living beings like producer, consumer, decomposers, so these are the biotic components. So we are going in detail with that. Just you see some overlook over there. So abiotic means what? Temperature, precipitation, sunlight, soil, altitude, latitude. So these are non-living things, but they have the influence on the earth, or we can say the living organism. So those are comprehensively known as environment. Okay, so let's see what is the components of the environment. So natural components are there, human components are there, human made, or we can say the anthropogenic components are there. So in natural, you can see the water means hydrosphere is there, air atmosphere, land lithosphere, and living things means biosphere. So these are the components of environment. Okay, so what is the biosphere? I think everyone knows that where we can live, or it is the ideal condition for the to sustain for the living organism is the biosphere. Biosphere, bio means living, and sphere means where we can live. Okay, or we can say where we can sustain. So those areas is known as biosphere. So biosphere याच्यात पण आपण अजून पुढे डिस्कस करू की बायोस्फियर मध्ये एक्झॅक्टली काय काय कॉम्पोनंट्स येतात. Okay, so next is the human, means individual, family, community, religion, education, or we can say the political situation, etc. So these are the components of the humans. Okay, so human made means building, parks, bridges, or any infrastructural activity which is created by the human. So they are also the part of the environment. Okay, so environment is our basic life support, and it provides the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, and the land we live. So these are nothing but the environment. And without environment, we cannot sustain without the environment. Okay. So next part is the what exactly ecology and environment means. So what is the ecology? So scientific study of how organisms interact with one another and their physical environment. So it is known as the ecology. So it deals with the how one organism affect other organism and how environment is affecting different kinds of organism. So it is known as the ecology. So exactly याचा meaning काय ecologyचा. So eco means it is a Greek word, and it means oikos. Oikos means household or place to live, and logy means study of anything, science or study of anything. So that is the logy, means biology, physics, we can say physiology, etc. So oikos means eco means oikos and household or place to live. That is mean by ecology. Okay. So next part is the what we are discussing about, that is the component of ecosystem. So what are the components of ecosystem? That is biotic component or abiotic component. So in abiotic component, physical factors are there, inorganic factors are there, and organic factors are there. So in physical factors, temperature, humidity, light, atmosphere, these factors are there. And in inorganic, water, oxygen, CO2, NO2, etc., various gases are there. So in organic substance, protein, carbohydrate, and lipids are there. And in biotic component, these is going to be the very important for us, because overall these chapter of the NCERT is depending on the biotic components. So it is very important. So there are three types of interaction, or we can say the interdependence of the biotic components. So first is the producer, second is the consumer, and third is the decomposer. So it is going to be very, very important. So what producer includes? So in producer, it includes the plants which produce itself. Okay, so they are mostly do photosynthesis, and they are autotrophs. So they produce their food itself. Okay, so that those are known as autotrophs. So humans are not autotrophs, but the plants, various types of plants, are the autotrophs. Okay, so consumers means animal, or we can say the humans also are consumer. So they are known as heterotrophs, which are dependent on the producers. Okay, so consumer can be herbivore or carnivore. Herbivore means which are directly depend on the producer, or which generally used to consume the vegan food, or the second is the that is carnivore, which are depend upon the primary consumers, means some of the different consumers which are herbivore, they are depend on the mostly they are depend on the producers, and those secondary consumer are the carnivore, so they are depend on the primary consumer. Okay, so the consumers are there, and last is the decomposer. When this producer and consumer, okay, so they are dead, so some organisms in the soil start to decompose them. Okay, so these are known as the decomposer, means saprophytes, detrivore, and detritus feeders. Okay, so these are known as the decomposer. Okay, so just see the some examples of the living organism, that is plants, animal, fungi, bacteria is there, and in non-living water, sunlight, soil, air, temperature, etc. Okay, so let's say in detail the ecosystem. An ecosystem is a structural function unit of nature encompassing complex interaction between the biotic and abiotic components. So it is known as the ecosystem. There is various types of the ecosystem, like marine ecosystem is different, terrestrial ecosystem is different, desert ecosystem is different. Then we can see the grassland ecosystem is different. So there is a structural and functional unit between them. Then we can say the normal interaction is between those biotic and abiotic components is different in every ecosystem. So there is various type of ecosystem. So whenever such a topic related to the ecosystem or types of ecosystem comes in next some of the standards, so we'll discuss on later. Okay, so the components of ecosystem, we already see that part, that is biotic and abiotic. So producers means autotrophs, they produce on their own with the help of photosynthesis. In consumer, heterotrophs and phagotrophs, also known as phagotrophs. So they are primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer, and quaternary consumer. Means they interdepend on the each other. Means primary consumer is mostly depend on producers, but secondary consumer are depend on the primary consumer. Tertiary consumers are depend on the secondary consumer, and quaternary consumers are depend on tertiary consumers. So this is the some topic level of the consumers. Okay, so next is the decomposer, means micro consumers. So those are because they are very smaller in size, and generally they belong to the soils, etc., or we can say the land. So they are the bacteria, break down the dead plants and animals, means producer and consumers, and receive the energy, and helps in mineralization, soil formation, and also called as detritivores and reducers. Not the producer, they are the reducers. Okay, so also known as saprophytes and osmotrophs. So these optional names are also important because UPSC always try to ask unfamiliar questions, unfamiliar words also. So means decompose, everyone knows the decomposer, but there is only few reference material where saprophytes and osmotrophs are mentioned. So UPSC try to ask in such a way. So next is abiotic factor. We already discussed about that. That is the non-living factors. So it may be climate, temperature, precipitation, sunlight, wind, etc. Okay. So let's see the next part. And in first part of the 15, that is first part is environment, our environment. So only these parts are included. That is what is environment, definition of environment, components of environment, what is ecology, what is ecosystem, components of the ecosystem, and abiotic and abiotic factors. So only these are mentioned in the first of the topic. So let's move to the next topic. Okay, so what happens when we add our waste to the environment? So the next 15.1 topic is about the waste only. So waste, what is the waste? Everyone knows that. So waste is we can define it as an unwanted or unusable material, and is regarded as a substance which is of no use. So it may be solid waste, it may be liquid waste, or we can say there are various types of waste. So some of the domestic waste is also there, or we can say the agriculture waste is there, or we can say the industrial waste is there. So there are various type of waste also, and waste is also known as the garbage. So garbage is mainly considered as the solid waste, but garbage is mainly considered as the solid waste that include waste from our house, that, that may be domestic waste, then next waste from the schools, offices, municipal waste, or we can say the waste from the industrial and factory industrial waste, etc. So garbage is generally confined to the solid waste topic. Okay, and waste has the various type of waste. So we are going to discuss about that. So source of waste is the household, like commerce and industry. So there are very many sources for the waste, but we are going to discuss about the some type of waste, of the sources of the waste. So first is the industrial waste. These are the waste created in factories and industries, and most industries dump their waste in rivers, seas, which cause a lot of pollution. So that's why we are going to see about the industrial waste, that is plastic and glass. Okay, or we can say the waste like industrial effluents, chemicals, etc. So those are also harmful for our environment, or even though for the human beings. Okay, so next is the commercial waste, and commercial waste are produced in school, colleges, shops, offices, etc. So that is the plastic, paper, pencil, etc. lead also there. Okay, so next is the domestic waste. Is very simple, the different household waste which are collected during the household activities like cooking, cleaning, etc., known as the domestic waste. Okay, so that means the leaves, vegetable peels, excreta. So these are comes under the domestic waste. Okay, and next is the agriculture waste. So various waste produced in the agriculture field are known as the agriculture waste, means cattle waste, cow dungs, or we can say wheat husk, etc., etc. So these are the agriculture waste. Okay, and if you do the proper composting of the agriculture waste, so it may be used as a fertilizer, and it is a organic fertilizer, so it is going to be the useful in other manner. Okay, so there is some types of waste. Commonly waste is classified in two types, so that is biodegradable waste and non-degradable waste. So because some of the waste is easily degradable, biodegradable, because I just mentioned that agriculture waste we can decompose it. Okay, with the some earthworms, etc. So composting method is possible in agriculture waste. So even though that is going to be useful as a fertilizer, so some of the waste is biodegradable waste, and uh, which we can say which are very important for the environment, because they can be used for the agriculture, to boost the agriculture production. But some of the waste is uh, considered as a non biodegradable waste. And why that is non biodegradable? Because normal biotic elements, or we can say the decomposers, cannot decompose it is easily. Okay, so uh, in that perspective they are going to sustain for a long time, or they can be remain for a long time in our environment. So that is going to be the harmful for the environment. So biodegradable can be seen as a eco-friendly degradable, or we can say the uh, biodegradable waste is the eco-friendly, and non-biodegradable is not eco-friendly. Okay, so they will harm to our environment. Okay, so what is biodegradable waste? So these are the waste that come from our kitchen. It includes food remains, garden waste, etc. And you can include agriculture waste also over there. Biodegradable waste is also known as the moist waste, and this can be composted to obtain manure. And biodegradable waste decompose themselves over a period of time. So that is the most important thing. They decompose themselves over a period of time, and depending on the material. Okay, but non-biodegradable waste, these are the waste which include old newspaper, broken glass piece, plastic, etc. So non-biodegradable waste is known as the dry waste. Okay, and dry waste can be recycled and can be reused. Non-biodegradable waste do not decompose by themselves, and hence these are a major pollutant. So what is the point of concern? Which waste is our concern? So that is going to be biodegradable waste. Okay, so this is the major point, and we have to control it. We have to monitor such waste in priority basis. Okay, so you can define those waste in different types of waste. Industrial waste is there, agriculture waste, hazardous waste means which came majorly from the various industry like chemical industry, etc. And some radioactive waste means which came from directly from the nuclear power plants. So these are the radioactive waste, and this is very harmful. Okay. So next is the medical waste. It is also harmful. So we have to properly do the management of these waste. Okay, waste management. We can say the waste management of properly must have to done with these hazardous waste, radioactive waste, and medical waste. Okay, so we can use the different method for such a segregation of the waste. So we can use such dustbins like etc dustbin, so we can segregate easily, and we can recycle them or proper decompose them, okay, with the proper segregation. But if those all waste is like mix one means हे सगळे जर आपण एकत्र कुठे जर याला प्रॉपरली थ्रो केलं किंवा प्रॉपर याचं कलेक्शन जर एकसाथ झालं तर याचे लॉसेस काय होऊ शकतात की याला सेग्रिगेट करता येणार नाही आणि ते लॉंग टाइम पर्यंत काय एन्व्हायरमेंट मध्ये राहू शकतात. सो हा एक लॉस होऊ शकतो. सो जर आपण याला सेपरेटली जर प्रत्येक डस्टबिन मध्ये असं त्याला प्रॉपर सेग्रिगेट केलं तर डेफिनेटली सॉलिड अँड लिक्विड वेस्ट जर आपण प्रॉपरली सेपरेट केलं तर डेफिनेटली याचा काय फायदा होईल, त्याला आपण प्रॉपर डिकम्पोज करू शकतो. ओके, इवन दो पुणा मेट्रोपॉलिटन सिटीज, व्हेरियस मेट्रोपॉलिटन सिटीज हॅज द डिफरंट म्हणजे त्यांच्याकडे काय की डिफरंट अशा काही मेथड्स आहे की जे ओव्हरऑल वेस्ट कलेक्शन, गार्बेज कलेक्शन हे डिफरंटलीच केलं जातं. म्हणजे कलेक्शनच्या ऍट द सोर्सच ते काय की डिफरंटली कलेक्ट केले जातात. सो त्यांना डिकम्पोज करणं सोपं जातं. ओके, so next topic is recycling of the waste is very important. So recycling of waste product is very important as these process help in processing of waste or used products into the useful or new products. So recycling helps in controlling air, water, land pollution, and it also use less energy. Okay, so that's why it is recycling is very important. Okay, so these are the number of items that can recycle like paper, plastic, glass, and recycling helps in conserving natural resources and also helps in conserving energy. So recycling helps in protecting the environment as it helps in reducing air, water, and soil pollution. So that's why it is important. So decomposition of biodegradable waste. So biodegradable waste can be decomposed and converted into organic matter with the help of different processes, and it can be used in various agriculture fields so that we can boost our production of the agriculture in organic pattern. Okay, so and it is very useful. So next is the composting. So let's see some parts of the recycling methods. So composting is there. So this is the method in which waste can be decomposed and converted into organic matter by burying them in the composting pits. So the waste are composed by the action of bacteria and fungi. So if we properly decompose and we can use it as the organic fertilizers. Okay, so next is the vermicomposting. This method involves decomposting of organism matter into fertile manure with the help of red worms, and this manure is also known as vermicompost, and it is very useful for the again agricultural fields. Okay, and last is the chemical waste. The chemical waste are waste that are made from harmful chemicals which are mostly produced in large factories, and the chemical waste may or may not be hazardous. So we can say the chemical waste similarly like radioactive waste is the harmful one, hazardous one, and a chemical waste which is hazardous can be solid, liquid, or gaseous and will show hazardous characteristics like toxicity, porosity, ignitability, and reactivity. So if you come in contact with such a chemical or radioactive waste, so it is going to be very harmful for the human or overall for the environment. So we have to properly do the management of such a waste which is hazardous one. Okay, so the next topic is components of ecosystem, that is 15.2, that is ecosystem, what are its components. So all organisms such as plants, animals, microorganisms, and human beings as well as the physical surroundings interact with each other and maintain a balance in nature. So generally these are known as the ecosystem. We already discussed about that. So all interacting organism in area together with the non-living constituents of the environment form an ecosystem. Thus an ecosystem consists of biotic components and comprising living organism and abiotic components comprising of physical factors like temperature, rainfall, wind, soil, etc., etc. So we already discussed in chapter number 15. So I will skim over this part. So that is the components of ecosystem. Abiotic, we already seen that part, and abiotic components. So producers are known as autotrophs and consumers are known as heterotrophs. So these are the component of ecosystem. So it is very, very simple, and we already covered that. So I will just skip over this, and we already gone through the definitions of the ecosystem and components of ecosystem. So just revise some definition. An ecosystem is a structural function unit of nature encompassing complex interaction between biotic and abiotic components. Okay, so the interaction between biotic and abiotic component is nothing but the ecosystem. Okay, and components of ecosystem are biotic and abiotic. Okay, so I hope you understand all this. So all these interaction, or we can say the components of the ecosystem, are available in the biosphere. So it is very, very important. So what is biosphere? So biosphere means where we can live, where we can do our activity, different activity, or we can produce something which are helpful for our development. So the part of the earth that supports all organisms made up of all earth ecosystem. So biosphere is the somehow larger concept than ecosystem, because ecosystem are different, like marine ecosystem, terrestrial ecosystem, then we can say a glacial and desert ecosystem like this. But if you include all the ecosystem, then we can say the next level is the biosphere. So where we can live, okay, where our living activity is supported for the organisms, etc. Okay, so the example means इसका example याचं एक्झाम्पल काय असेल की बायोस्फिअर मीन्स जिथे आपण राहू शकतो. फॉर एक्झाम्पल द मेजर पार्ट इज ॲटमॉस्फिअर विच इज सपोर्टिंग फॉर अस, then hydrosphere again which is supporting to biosphere, then lithosphere where surface is provided, that is the lithosphere, and one more which is not included over here, but it is the snow cap region, and that is known as cryosphere. So combinedly, how biosphere is known as, so it is the combination of atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere, and cryosphere. Cryosphere means which part is throughout the year is frigid one, means snow capped one. So we can say the Arctic, Antarctic region, subpolar region. So and even though high altitude, some of the high altitude regions like Himalaya, etc. So those comes under the cryosphere, which shows the frigid zones. Okay, so just see the definition, that is the portion of earth's surface where water is in solid form, means in snow form, and include sea ice, lake ice, river ice, snow cover, ice caps, ice sheet, and frozen ground, etc. So comprehensively, we will note is as biosphere. Okay, so where we can live, place on earth where life dwells. Okay, so that is known as the biosphere. Okay, so what is the biome? So group of ecosystem that share similar type of climate condition and same kind of abiotic and biotic factors spread over a large area. So biomes are the either terrestrial or aquatic. Okay, so temperature and rainfall are the major playing role, so that determines the biome. So what is mean by biome? So if you go on the equator has the highest number of temperature, yeah, or we can say the higher amount of the sun rays are comes on the equator. Okay, equatorial region, equatorial latitude means 0 degree latitude, and as you go toward the 90 degrees north and 90 degrees south, that means as you go toward the pole region, so temperature is going to be decreased. So what what kind of ecosystem is present in uh, equatorial region? So that same kind of ecosystem is not possible at the poles. So when you go latitude wise toward the northern, or we can say the extreme climate, so every latitude has to be changed with their ecosystem. So that is generally divided by the biome is generally divided by latitude wise. So just see the diagram. So here is the direct sun rays area, means hot area. So यहाँ पे इथे आपल्याला काय दिसेल की वेगळ्या टाइपचं क्लायमेट आहे, मीन्स it has the higher rainfall, means rainforest area, then savanna type of climate, and or it may be desert. So this is the tropical type of climate. Next is the within 30 degree north to 60 degree north. So that is the temperate region. or even in the southern hemisphere, 30 degrees south to 60 degrees south. So that is the temperate region. So in temperate regions, we can say the temperate grassland, temperate forest. So in temperate, that is there is no harsh climate. We can say there is the mixture of hot and cool climate. So if you see the tropical areas, that is mostly heat surplus zone. And if you go to the temperate area, so it is we can say the mixture of the climate, cool and hot climate. So that is the temperate zone. Means आजच्या डेट मध्ये आपण म्हणू शकतो की कोणते देश येतील यामध्ये, युरोप, अमेरिका, रशिया एक्सेट्रा. दीज आर द टेम्परेट रिजन कंट्रीज. ओके. अँड इन ट्रॉपिकल कंट्रीज आपण म्हणू शकतो इंडिया आहे, त्यामध्ये आफ्रिका आहे, देन ब्राझील आहे, देन इंडोनेशिया आहे, सगळे कुठे येतील ट्रॉपिकल एरियाज मध्ये. ओके. अँड आर्टिक मीन्स ॲज यू नो की आर्टिक सर्कल अँड in southern Antarctic circle. So it is the tundra, also known as the tundra region. It is beyond, Arctic is beyond 66.5 to 90 degree. So 60 to 90, generally we will see 60 to 90 degree is the frigid zone. Means hardly तिथे काही आपल्याला activities दिसतील किंवा human beings or overall living organisms are visible in the Arctic region. Okay, so it is the adverse climatic condition. Okay, so just have some look over there. So individual means only single species. Population means the same species but in multiple numbers. So community means what? There are multiple types of species are there. So that is known as the community. Next is the ecosystem. Means different type of ecosystem are there or different type of communities are there. So it is known as the ecosystem. Means marine ecosystem, desert ecosystem, then grassland ecosystem. Then we can say the glacial ecosystem. So these are ecosystem, different type of ecosystem are there. And if you include the biome part, biome means it is latitudinally divided. Means equator, nearby tropical region is different biome. The nearby temperate region is different biome. The nearby polar region is different biome. So they are majorly divided by the latitudes. Okay. And what is biosphere? Biosphere means everything where we can live. Okay. So it includes atmosphere, hydrosphere, troposphere, and last is cryosphere. Okay, so I hope you understand all these levels of the living organism and overall definition of the definition of from individual to biosphere. Okay, so next point is, that is 15.21, that is food chains and food web. So what is food chain and what is food web? So it is very, very simple. We have to go on the इकोसिस्टीम लेवल. सो इकोसिस्टीम लेवलला आपल्याला आता मूव्ह करायचं आहे. तर इकोसिस्टीम लेवल मध्ये डिफरंट काइंड ऑफ इकोसिस्टीम आपण बघितलं. ठीक आहे, मग त्याच्यामध्ये मरीन इकोसिस्टीम असेल, टेरेस्ट्रियल इकोसिस्टीम असेल किंवा वेगवेगळ्या इकोसिस्टीम असतील. सो या इकोसिस्टीम मध्ये पर्टिक्युलर एक फूड चेन असेल की एका लाईन मध्ये ते काही इंटरडिपेंड असतील. फॉर एक्झाम्पल मरीन इकोसिस्टीम. सो स्मॉल फिश आर डिपेंड ऑन द corals, or we can say the aquatic plants. So they are depend on the aquatic plants. Aquatic plants are the producer. So they generally produce their food itself. Okay. So aquatic plants is the first level, that is the producer. त्यानंतर आपल्याला नेक्स्ट लेवलला कोण दिसेल? फर्स्ट प्रायमरी कंझ्युमर मीन्स स्मॉल फिश. सो स्मॉल फिश इज इटन बाय द लार्ज फिश. So large fish is eaten by more large fish. And lastly, we can say there is a whale fish, so which mostly eat to the some of the large fish etc. So ही एक चेन आहे. तर ही चेन म्हणजे कोणती? मरीन इकोसिस्टमची चेन आहे. सो एक्झॅक्टली सिंगल चेन if present, just look at this, that is ocean biome. So phytoplankton means aquatic plants. Next zooplankton, which are depend on them. Then fish are depend on these zooplanktons. Then seals are depend on such fish, and white shark, or we can say the whales, are depend on the seals etc. Okay, so this is the ocean biome, or we can say the ocean food chain, or we can say ocean ecosystem. So it is the singular one. Then pond biome is different, grassland biome is different. So everyone has the primary producer, everyone has the primary consumer, everyone has the secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. So overall, all these are the trophic levels. So we can say the food chains are there. Okay, so let's see what is the difference between food chain and food web. So first discuss the food chain and the transfer of food energy from green plants, means producer, through a series of organisms with the repeated eating and being eaten link is called as food chain. सो अभी हमने डिस्कस किया था, आत्ताच आपण एक बघा डिस्कस केले की याच्यावरती हे कसे डिपेंड आहेत एकमेकांवरती, तर ते आपण आता जस्ट डिस्कस केलं. तर एक्झॅक्टली त्याच पॅटर्न मध्ये आपण बघतोय की the transfer of food energy from green plants producer through a series of organisms with the repeated eating and being eaten linked is called as a food chain. So that is grass is producer, then grasshoppers which are depend on this and which are the herbivore means vegans. ठीक आहे, तो हे याच्यावर डिपेंड असतील. then grasshopper eaten by the frog. Okay, so frog eat the grasshoppers and frog is eaten by the snake. Then a snake is eaten by the eagles or hawk. So this is the single chain. Okay, so that is known as the food chain. Okay, so each step in the food chain is called trophic level. So first trophic level is the producer, second trophic level is the primary consumer, then next trophic level is the secondary consumer, then third trophic level is the tertiary consumer, and fourth and last is top predator, or we can say the top consumer is the eagle or hawk. Okay, so each step in the food chain is called the trophic level. So the trophic level of an organism is the position occupies in a food chain. So types of food chain are the two types. There is a grazing food chain and detritus food chain. So what is the grazing and what is the detritus food chain, we will discuss on later. Next slide. Okay, so just have some patience. We are going to discuss about the food web. So what is the food web? So it is very simple. So multiple food chains when interact with each other or make some interaction with each other. So multiple interlinked food chains make a food web. मीन्स मल्टिपल जेव्हा फूड चेन्स एकमेकांशी इंटरकनेक्टेड असतात तर त्यांना आपण काय म्हणतोय, फूड वेब. सो फूड वेब रिप्रेझेंट ऑल द पॉसिबल पार्ट्स ऑफ एनर्जी फ्लो in an ecosystem or in between the food chains, all the possible paths of interconnecting food chains. So that is known as the food web. So if any of the intermediate food chain is removed, the succeeding links of the chain will be affected largely. So the food web provides more than one alternative for food to most of the organism in an ecosystem and therefore increase their chance of survival. So what is the benefit of food web? So if there is a multiple food webs, food chains. So if primary consumer, just let's consider the primary consumer is there and secondary consumer is there. So if this secondary consumer has lost their praise or shorten their praise, means इनके प्रेस यांचे प्रेस कोण असतील जे सेकंडरी कंझ्युमर आहे त्यांचे. फॉर एक्झाम्पल की आपण चला एक एक्झाम्पलच घेऊ. तर ग्रास हुपर फॉर एक्झाम्पल हा प्रायमरी कंझ्युमर आहे जो ग्रासला इट करतोय आणि ग्रास अबंडंट अमाऊंट मध्ये तिथे अवेलेबल आहे. त्यामुळे पण प्रॉब्लेम असा झालाय की ग्रास हुपरची पॉप्युलेशन कमी झाली. सो फ्रॉग काय होत आहे की मनी अफेक्ट होणार आहेत. ठीक आहे, मीन्स फ्रॉगला त्यांचे जे काही फूड आहे ते ओव्हर द टाइम कमी झालंय. मग आता यांना काय ऑप्शन आहे की यांना अजून एखादी कोणती तरी फूड चेन पाहिजे की ज्यामध्ये ते त्यांना कन्झ्युम करू शकतील. मीन्स फ्रॉगला एक काहीतरी वेगळं ऑप्शन पाहिजे इथे, की स्मॉल इन्सेक्ट असतील किंवा छोटे छोटे किडे जे म्हणतो आपण. ठीक आहे, तर स्मॉल इन्सेक्ट एखाद्या कोणत्या वेगळ्या फूड चेन मध्ये जर अवेलेबल असतील तर मग काय होईल की ते फ्रॉगला एक ऑप्शन आहे, म्हणजे दुसऱ्या फूड चेन मधले काहीतरी ऑप्शन ओपन होत आहे. तर त्यामुळे कधी पण ती इकोसिस्टम कधी स्ट्रॉंग मानली जाते किंवा एनरिच कधी मानलं जाईल, इफ देर आर व्हेरियस फूड चेन आर अवेलेबल. सो देर इज द स्ट्रॉंग फूड वेब, वी कॅन से द strong food web only develop after when there are multiple food chains are available. So hence more the complexity, more the stability. So it is very important and it was the question of the UPSC. So it is hence more the complexity means more the food chains. So it is the more the stability. Okay, so it will create the stable condition if the complexity is larger. Okay, so let's discuss about the what is the food chain, types of the food chain. So first is the grazing food chain and second is the detritus food chain. So grazing food chain means the consumer which start the food chain utilizing the plant and plant parts as their part constitute the grazing food chain. Means where is the producer, grazing means काय की इथे increasing level ला असेल किंवा काहीतरी increase होते किंवा इथे producer वर depend असेल. Which grazing means which depends on the producer. Okay, so means on the green plants. Okay, so for example a terrestrial ecosystem, the grass is eaten by a caterpillar which is eaten by the lizard and lizard is eaten by the snake. In an aquatic ecosystem, phytoplankton is the producer and are eaten by the zooplanktons, and which are eaten by the fish, and fish are eaten by the pelicans or the large fish. Okay, so this is the grazing food chain. And what is about the detritus food chain? So detritus is start from the dead plants or dead leaves or dead organic matters. बिकॉज देखो मेजर डिफरन्स याच्यामध्ये काय येतोय, तर ग्रेझिंग फूड चेन ही स्टार्ट कुठून होतीये, तर ग्रीन प्लांट पासून, म्हणजे जे जे आपले प्लांट्स वगैरे असतील किंवा ग्रासलँड असतील तर त्यांच्यापासून स्टार्ट होत आहे, म्हणजे लिव्हिंग्स आहेत त्यातील. बट डेट्रियस मध्ये काय होतं की जे मेल्यानंतर मीन्स डेड झाल्यानंतर जे काही ऑर्गॅनिक मॅटर आहे ते डेड झाल्यानंतर ही सिस्टीम चालू होते. सो dead leaves. So let's see, this type of food chain start from the organic matter of dead and decaying animals and plants bodies from the grazing food chain. So dead organic matter or detritus feeding organisms are called as detritivores and decomposers. So these detritivores are eaten by the predators. Okay, so generally dead leaves, then wood loss means like different insect decompose all the dead organic matter, and those small insects are eaten by the some birds, okay, blackbirds like etc. So these are eaten by the these. So this is called as detritus food chain. Okay, so more that is the most important difference between grazing and detritus. One start from the producer and second from start from the dead organic matter. Okay, so what is the food web? So multiple interlinked food chain make a food web, and food web represent all the possible paths. We already discussed about that. So just move to the diagram. So if there is a two type of food chains are available, so it is the terrestrial food chain and second is the aquatic food chain. So actually it is the different food chains, but when it interact with each other, means we can say the these eagle can consume some of the fish. Okay, so it is also the food of the eagle. So eagle can eat to this fish. So when this interaction happens, so generally it is come out of their food chain. Okay, so he is coming out of this food chain, or he is also depend on this food chain. So that is known as the food web. So when it interacts with each other's food chain, so it is going to be known as food web. Okay, so next level, next topic is, that is trophic levels in the ecosystem. So every level is going to be as the trophic levels, means producer is the first trophic level, consumer is the second trophic level, the second consumer is the third trophic level, then fourth means tertiary consumer is the fourth trophic level, and last is the fifth. For example, if fifth is the last one, so trophic level fifth is known to be as top carnivores, means quaternary consumer. So let's discuss. In an ecosystem, complex natural community obtain their food from the plant through one, two, or three, or maybe there are many steps. So it's mostly depend on that ecosystem. So according to these steps are known as the first, second, third, or fourth trophic level or food levels, etc. Trophic means nourishment. Okay, so it depends on the nourishment. In simple terms, trophic level is the position often that organism occupies in a food chain. So मोस्टली फूड चेन मध्ये जे काही त्यांची लेवल्स असेल, सो प्रोड्युसरची एक त्यांची पर्टिक्युलर लेवल असते. फॉर एक्झाम्पल इथे बघू शकता तुम्ही, ते प्रोड्युसरचं एक त्यांचा टॉपिक लेवल 1 आहे. सो याच्यावरती डिपेंड सगळे हर्बिवोर्स असतील किंवा प्रायमरी कंझ्युमर्स आहेत. सो ते कोणत्या लेवलला असतील, मग सेकंड लेवलला. थर्ड लेवलला मग सेम आपल्याला असं दिसतंय की सेकंडरी कंझ्युमर्स, अँड फोर्थ लेवल एक्सेट्रा ईगल्स एक्सेट्रा. ठीक आहे, सो दीज आर द टॉपिक लेवल. सो टॉपिक लेवल मीन्स everyone has their place in the food chain. So that food chain, when we number with the to that level, topic level, so that is known as a particular topic level of that species. Okay, so topic level 1 means green plant, and producers always come to the topic level 1. So their position is fixed in the topic. So fixed position एका जणाचीच आहे, तर ती म्हणजे कोण आहे, ग्रीन प्लांट्स. ओके, टॉपिक लेवल सेकंड पण आपण एक फिक्स म्हणू शकतो. So topic level 2 is the of herbivores, and which are depend on the primary consumers, means that they are known as the heterotrophs. Okay, so topic level 2 is the heterotrophs. Then topic level 3 are carnivores, which is non-vegetarian, we can say the secondary consumers, and these are also heterotrophs. And topic level 4 are the carnivores, tertiary consumers, and top carnivore means topic level 5. Okay, so these are some topic levels. Okay, So it is very simple. Topic level means then energy flow in an ecosystem always, ये बहुत important आहे. हा जो टॉपिक आहे तो खूप इम्पॉर्टंट असेल, बिकॉज प्रत्येक लेवलला एनर्जी ही डिक्रीजेस होत जाते, बिकॉज प्रायमरी प्रोड्युसर कडे जेवढी काही एनर्जी होती तर त्यातली काही पर्सेंटच कन्झ्युम होऊन बाकी एनर्जी त्यांनी त्यांच्या युटिलायझेशन साठी और डेली ऍक्टिव्हिटीज साठी कन्झ्युम केली और यूज केली अँड ती रिलीज झाली एन्व्हायरमेंट मध्ये. बट सम मस्ट बी ट्रान्सफर टू द नेक्स्ट टॉपिक लेवल. ओके, जसं की सेकंडरी कंझ्युमर जेव्हा यांना कन्झ्युम करेल प्रायमरी कंझ्युमर्सला, तर तेव्हा ही यांची जी काही कन्झ्युम केलेली एनर्जी आहे और जी काही बॉडीमध्ये त्यांची जी काही एनर्जी असेल तर ती ट्रान्सफर होते, बट इट इज ओनली 10%. ओके, सो एव्हरी टॉपिक लेवल transfer only 10% to the next level. Okay, so let's see what is the energy flow in an ecosystem. So the energy flows through the topic level from the producer to subsequent level. It never flows in the reverse direction. Just remember, reverse direction मध्ये कधी असं ट्रान्समिशन यांचं होत नाही. रिव्हर्स डिरेक्शन मध्ये ओनली अपवर्ड डिरेक्शन मध्ये होणार. ओके, so the never flows in the reverse direction. There is a loss of some energy in the form of some unusable heat at each topic level, so that the energy level decrease from first topic level to the upwards, because they are using some energy to sustain their self. So 90% of energy is lost in such activities and 10% energy is transferred to the next level. Okay, so energy flows from topic level 1 to topic level 5 is 10% energy is transferred at each topic level. So that is known as the Lindman's rule. Okay, so the study of topic level help us understanding the energy transformation in an ecosystem. So the number of organism at any topic level depend upon the availability of organism which are used to food on lower level. So availability of food is main factor. So the availability of food is very important factor. Okay, so only 10%. देखो यहाँ पे अगर देखोगे आप तो 100% इथे एनर्जी आहे आणि नंतर ती बघा 10%च पुढे ट्रान्सफर झाली. मग याच्या 10% मीन्स 1%, अँड देन अगेन याच्या 1%च्या 10% मीन्स 0.1%, देन 0.01. सो लाईक दिस हे होत राहणार आणि तेवढी एनर्जीज फक्त ट्रान्समिट होणार. ओनली 10% एनर्जी इज ट्रान्सफर्ड. ओके, सो यू कॅन सी ओव्हर हिअर 200 kilocalorie meter square per year, for example, primary producer has, and only 200 kilocalorie is transferred in next level, and like this same onwards. Okay, and some energy is used in between this part and it is released as the heat. Okay, and if this frog is consumed by this snake, so with this transfer of the means इथे फक्त किती एनर्जी ट्रान्सफर होणार 20 kilocalorie एक्सेट्रा. Okay, so this is the overall topic level diagram. So I hope you understand all this part. So the next part is the ozone layer and how it is getting depleted. So it is the very important factor. So O3 is an molecule generally formed by the 3 atoms, as you know. So while O2, which is normally referred to as an oxygen and is essential for all aerobic forms of life. So ozone is a deadly poison generally, but it located in stratosphere, so that's why it is good. But it also located somehow because of anthropogenic activity, it is also located on the troposphere. So it if it is increase in the troposphere, means where we live on the surface, we can say the surface ozone is going to be harmful for us. However, at higher levels of the atmosphere, and ozone performs an essential function and it shields the mostly surface of the earth from the UV rays. Okay, UV rays which came from the sun. So this radiation is highly damaging to organism. So that's why it can create the some skin cancer, or we can say the eye irritation, etc. So ozone at higher level of the atmosphere is a general product of UV radiation acting on oxygen O2 molecules. Okay, so it is going to be very important. So let's discuss about the ozone. Ozone is highly reactive gas composed of the 3 oxygen atoms, and it is both natural and man-made products, so that occurs on earth upper atmosphere. The stratosphere generally यहाँ पे naturally कुठे अवेलेबल आहे तो स्ट्रॅटोस्फिअर मध्ये, and lower atmosphere जो आहे तर तो ह्युमन ऍक्टिव्हिटीज मुळे प्रेझेंट होऊ शकतो. मीन्स व्हेकल प्रोडक्शन असेल, व्हेकल एक्स्ट्रॅक्शन असेल, जिथे व्हेकल या इंडस्ट्रीज मधून जे काही एक्स्ट्रॅक्ट होतोय गॅसेस वगैरे, तर त्याच्यामुळे पण तो अवेलेबल होऊ शकतो. ठीक आहे, आणि तो आपल्यासाठी चांगला नसेल, बिकॉज इट विल increase the global warming effect. So depending on where it is in atmosphere, so ozone affect life on the earth and in either good or bad ways. So it occur naturally in the stratosphere and absorb harmful UV rays. So it protect us from the UV rays. So जर अशा UV rays जर डायरेक्ट अर्थ वरती हिट झाल्या असत्या तर नक्कीच याचे लॉसेस आपल्याला खूप झाले असते. मीन्स मे बी अर्थ एक फायरबॉल झाला असता. मीन्स आपण इझिली सस्टेन नसतो करू शकलो, बिकॉज थोडी जरी इंटेन्सिटी और UV रेज जर डायरेक्ट सनरेज हिट जर झाले तर फॉरेस्ट फायरचे इव्हेंट इन्क्रीज झाले असते. इव्हन मरीन एरियाचं खूप जास्त टेम्परेचर इन्क्रीज झालं असतं आणि तिथे एक प्रॉपर लाईफ क्रिएट नसते झाली. सो ड्यू टू दिस ओझोन इन स्ट्रॅटोस्फिअर आज आपण त्याची पूर्ण इंटेन्सिटी कमी होऊनच तो सरफेसवर हिट होतो, अँड सो दॅट ते आपल्यासाठी खूप इम्पॉर्टंट आहे. ओके, आणि त्यामुळे आज आपण इथे सस्टेन करू शकतो. सो हावेवर ऍट द ग्राउंड लेवल इट इज अ पोल्युटंट, ग्रीन हाऊस गॅस अँड हायली टॉक्सिक इफेक्ट. ठीक आहे. सो हे ग्राउंड लेवलला पण ओझोन असू शकतो. अँथ्रोपोजेनिक रिझनमुळे ह्युमन्स इंड्युस्ड आपण ज्याला म्हणू शकतो ओझोन, तो पण असू शकतो. सो व्हेकल अँड इंडस्ट्री आर द मेजर सोर्स ऑफ ग्राउंड लेवल ओझोन इमिशन. So carbon monoxide, nitrous oxide play a major role in converting O2 to O3. So they are the carbon monoxide and nitrogen oxide. So हे vehicle मधून पण emission होते, तुम्हाला माहिती असेल. So ozone makes our eyes itchy and watery. It lowers our resistance to cold and pneumonia, etc. So these are the some factors. So exactly आपण बघू atmosphere चे different layer असतात. So troposphere is there up to generally 13 kilometer height. There is a troposphere, and next level is the stratosphere. Okay, so in stratosphere we can say on the 30 to 40 kilometer segment, or we can say the 30-40 किलोमीटर च्या जवळपास इथे कोणता लेअर आहे तो ओझोन लेअर. ठीक आहे. सो ओझोन लेअर इथे प्रेझेन्स असल्यामुळे युव्ही रेज जे काही इथे हिट होतात तर त्या मिनिमाइज केल्या जातील. ओके, त्यांची इंटेन्सिटी. So when the stratosphere ends, so it is known as the stratopause, and after this stratosphere, mesosphere is started, and after mesosphere, thermosphere is there, and last is the exosphere. So this line notifies the decreasing pattern of the temperature in the troposphere, because medium gets rare, because जे medium आहे मेजरली सरफेस जो आहे तो सरफेस वरती हीट ऍब्सॉर्ब केली जाते, सो दॅट इथे सरफेसच्या जवळ टेम्परेचर जास्त असेल. बट जसं आपण सरफेस पासून वर जाऊ तसं टेम्परेचर का कमी होतं, बिकॉज लॅक ऑफ मीडियम. ओके, सो हीट ट्रान्समिट व्हायला मीडियमची खूप जरूरत असते. सो टोपोपॉज पर्यंत एक टेम्परेचर जर आपण बघितलं तर 0 डिग्रीच्या पण खालीपर्यंत जाऊ शकतं. बट आफ्टर टोपोपॉज स्ट्रॅटोस्फिअर मध्ये बघा टेम्परेचर इन्क्रीज होते. का? बिकॉज ओझोन absorb the UV rays. So that's why if it absorb the UV rays, that means it gets the medium to increase the temperature of that of that atmospheric layer. So that's why the temperature increase होतं. Again lack of medium in the mesosphere, so that's why the temperature एकदम drastically drop होऊन जातं, almost -100 degrees Celsius पर्यंत, or we can say lowest temperature is in the mesospheric level. सो आफ्टर दॅट इथे इलेक्ट्रॉन्स असतात, फ्री रॅडिकल्स काही इलेक्ट्रॉन्स आहेत थर्मोस्फिअर मध्ये. सो दॅट्स वाय इथे अगेन इलेक्ट्रॉनिकली चार्ज होतात आणि इथे टेम्परेचर जास्त असेल, त्यामुळे थर्मोस्फिअर मध्ये टेम्परेचर कसं असतं, जास्त असतं. ओके, सो द नेक्स्ट पार्ट इज दॅट इज एक्झॅक्टली वी विल सी द फिनॉमिना ऑफ द ओझोन. सो ओझोन देखो, ओझोन बघा जनरली ऑक्सिजन मॉलिक्युल्स आर फोटोलाइज्ड यील्डिंग टू ऑक्सिजन. मीन्स ओझोन ऍक्च्युअली ब्रेक होतो, की जेव्हा सनरेज यायला हिट होतात, युव्ही रेज जेव्हा याला हिट होतील, तेव्हा ओझोन इज ब्रेक इन 2 पार्ट्स, दॅट इज O2 अँड O. सो जनरली जेव्हा O2 आणि O मध्ये जेव्हा हे ब्रेक होतो तर त्यावेळेस काय होतं की सिमिलरली मल्टिपल ओझोनचे ॲटम्स ब्रेक होऊन जातात. सो हे जेव्हा ओझोनचे ॲटम ब्रेक्स होतील O2 आणि O मध्ये, सो इथे फॉर एक्झाम्पल हा सिंगल 1 O आहे आणि इथे आहे O2. ठीक आहे. सो या O2 आणि O ची जेव्हा रिएक्शन होते अगेन यांचं कॉम्बिनेशन होतं अँड अगेन O3 क्रिएट होतो. मीन्स ओझोन डिप्लीट जरी झाला नॅचरली तरी पण युव्ही रेजमुळे अगर तो डिप्लीट होतोय पण तरी त्याची रिसायकलिंग कॅपॅसिटी असते. मीन्स O3 लेवल हा परमनंट तेवढा जाऊ शकतो. सो ओझोन हा काय रिक्रिएट होत असतो. बट प्रॉब्लेम काय होतो, जे काही सनरेजमुळे युव्ही रेजच्या अटॅकमुळे जे काही ओझोनचं डिप्लेशन होतं दॅट इज रिकव्हरेबल. बट अर्थ वरून आपण काही पोल्युशन एक्स्ट्रॅक्ट करतोय किंवा पोल्युशन इमिशन होत आहे, तर त्यामुळे CFC असेल, काही ग्रीन हाऊस गॅस इमिशन्स मी तुम्हाला इम्पॉर्टंट सांगतो. दॅट इज CO2 इज द हायर इन पर्सेंटेज. देन नेक्स्ट इज द वी कॅन से द मिथेन इज देअर. देन थर्ड इज द CFC. CFC, and last is the N2O, nitrous oxide. Okay, so N2 is there. Please try to understand, because uh, I don't have the exactly graphic pen tab so to draw exact what I want to draw. So please try to understand. So in the greenhouse gases, CO2 is in the larger number, then CH4 is methane, and CFC. So they can break the ozone. CO2 can break the ozone. CH4 means methane can break the ozone. CFC is the most important because CFC has the 4,000 times extra capacity than CO2 to deplete the ozone layer. So 4,000 times हा CFC CO2 च्या कंपॅरिझन मध्ये डिप्लिशन कॅपॅसिटी आहे ओझोनला ब्रेक करण्याची. सो all these component when break to the ozone and these ultraviolet rays also, so ज्यांचे यांचे कॉम्बिनेशन पेक्षा जेव्हा ब्रेकिंग जास्त होतं, सो देन ओझोनची जी काही आपण विड्थ आहे तर ती कमी होत जाईल, किंवा ओझोन लेअरचा जो काही थिकनेस आहे तर तो कमी कमी होत जाणार. सो दॅट इज द रिझन ऑफ द ओझोन डिप्लिशन. ओके, सो जस्ट रिमेंबर दॅट ओझोन जनरली जस्ट इथे काही डायग्राम आहे बघा. ओझोन इथे ब्रेक होतोय विथ द अल्ट्राव्हायोलेट रेज, so it is okay, it is going to be naturally heal. But when we extract different gases, CFC, CO2 etc., so यांच्या पण इंटरॅक्शन मुळे, या दोन्हींच्या इंटेन्सिटी मुळे काय होईल, ओझोनची जी काही इंटेन्सिटी आहे किंवा ओझोन जे काही त्या लेवलमध्ये अवेलेबल आहे तर तो त्याचं थिकनेस कमी होत जाणार, आणि त्यामुळे काय होईल की सनरेज, मॅक्झिमाइज सनरेज या अर्थवर हिट होतील. ओके, आणि त्या मॅक्झिमाइज सनरेज जेवढ्या हिट होतील तेवढा ग्लोबल वॉर्मिंग इफेक्ट इन्क्रीज होईल. ओके, सो स्ट्रॅटोस्फिअर मध्ये असतो एक्झॅक्टली हा. तर स्ट्रॅटोस्फिअर मध्ये बघा जनरली इथे ओझोन लेअर तुम्हाला दिसेल 30 to 40-50 किलोमीटरच्या आसपास हा अवेलेबल असतो. सो टेम्परेचर इन्क्रीज विथ द इन्क्रीजिंग हाईट अबाउट द स्ट्रॅटोस्फिअर because ozone layer is there, and because of the presence of the ozone layer, and ozone absorb UV rays from insolation. Okay, so when ozone when UV rays come toward the stratosphere, or we can say the ozone layer, ठीक आहे, जेव्हा या UV rays येतात तर या तीन पॅटर्न मध्ये येतात. सो UVA is there, UV has the three parts, UVA, UVB and UVC. So higher penetration capacity कोणाची असते, UVA, then next is the UVB and UVC. But UVC is the most harmful for our environment, or we can say it is very very harmful for our skin also, or human beings also. But luckily UVC is reflected back from this ozone layer toward the exosphere. He cannot penetrate to this ozone layer, so it is very very useful. So त्यामुळे ओझोनचा हा बेनिफिट खूप जास्त आहे की हा UVC ला आपल्या सरफेस वरती हिट नाही करू शकत. ओके, सो आपल्या सरफेस वरती कोण हिट करतात, फक्त UVA अँड बी. सो UVA ची पेनिट्रेशन कॅपॅसिटी थोडी जास्त असल्यामुळे बघा इथे स्किनचे काही टाइप दिले, इपिडर्मिस अँड डर्मिस पर्यंत हिट करतो. अँड स्किन सरफेस वरती म्हणजे जनरली आपले जे आपण त्याला म्हणतो की जे फक्त स्किन टॅन करतो, म्हणजे स्किन काळी होण्याचं कारण किंवा टॅन करण्याचं कारण काय, तर UVB हिट होतं. म्हणून आपल्या सनस्क्रीन लोशन मध्ये, सनस्क्रीन जे लोशन्स असतात त्यामध्ये बघा तुम्हाला UVB प्रोटेक्शन असतं. तर UVB प्रोटेक्शन का असतं, कारण UVB हिट होतो स्किनला टॅन करण्यासाठी, तो रिस्पॉन्सिबल असतो. सो दॅट्स वाय UVB प्रोटेक्शन म्हणतात, जे काही स्किन तुम्हाला सनस्क्रीन लोशन दिसतील त्यामध्ये. ठीक आहे, सो एक्झॅक्टली कोणामुळे काय काय डिसीजेस होतात बघा. UVA असेल तर इट रिचेस द लेन्स अँड रेटिना. सो रेटिनावर कॅटरॅक्ट, रेटिना डिसीजेस वगैरे क्रिएट होऊ शकतात जर याची इंटेन्सिटी वाढली तर. देन UVB कॉजेस स्किन टू डार्क, ऍज आय सेड की टॅन होऊ शकते स्किन. स्किन कॅन्सर पण होऊ शकतो जर याची इंटेन्सिटी वाढली तर. अँड मोस्ट डॅमेजिंग इज द UVC, बट इट इज ब्लॉक बाय द ऍटमॉस्फिअर, ऑर वी कॅन से इट इज द ब्लॉक बाय द ओझोन लेअर. सो त्याचे इम्पॅक्ट अजून तरी आपल्यावर काही दिसत नाही, बिकॉज हा ओझोन ब्लॉकच केला जातो, तो सरफेसवर येतच नाही म्हणून. ओके, सो जे काही ओझोन डिप्लेशन रिलेटेड एनसीईआरटी मध्ये तर मेन्शन नाही केलंय, बट स्टील वी विल डिस्कस सम प्रोटोकॉल्स और कन्व्हेन्शन्स रिलेटेड टू कंट्रोल द ओझोन डिप्लेशन. सो फर्स्ट टाइम 1985 मध्ये बघा एक ओझोन होल आयडेंटिफाय झाला होता इन द साऊथ पॅसिफिक. सो जस्ट त्याच्यावरती डिस्कशन झालं की असं असं ओझोन डिप्लेशन झालंय किंवा ओझोन होल जनरली आयडेंटिफाय झालाय. बट ऑल country when exactly monitor those areas or those location, so in 1987 we find out there is a really ozone hole is happened, or we can say की तिथे ओझोन होल हा आयडेंटिफाय झाला होता 1987. सो मग तेव्हा थोडं वर्ल्ड सिरियस होतो की ओझोन डिप्लेटिंग आपल्याला कमी करावं लागेल येणाऱ्या टाइम मध्ये. ओके, so the first convention when this ozone depletion is occurring or likely to occur, so that time Vienna Convention is happened. It is the first convention related to protection of ozone layer. So that is the first convention related to the protection of the ozone layer is the Vienna Convention, and it does not include legally binding reduction goals. So they just discuss about the ozone protection etc. in 1985, but they got serious in 1987 when it actually identified. Okay, so that is the Montreal Protocol to control ozone depletion substance. So designed to stop production and import of the ozone depletion substance and reduce their concentration in atmosphere, protect the Earth's ozone layer. So it is the major protocol. And what is the difference between convention and protocol? So in convention, many members, or we can say the many countries generally discuss about that issue. But protocol means what? Protocol means actually they implement every decision. So that is the protocol means they try to implement what the decisions they have taken in that such meetings. Okay, so it is a protocol to the Vienna Convention for the protection of ozone layer. Okay, so universal treaty ratified by all United Nations countries, and it is legally binding. Just remember that it is a legally binding. So target is the only ozone depleting substance, not greenhouse gases. So whatever will be the ozone depleting substance, mostly chlorofluorocarbon is there. So we have to control the emission of those ozone depleting substance, not greenhouse gases. So CFC is the major target, that is the chlorofluorocarbon. Okay, so after the completion of this Montreal Protocol, so in Montreal Protocol we have to achieve the level of 1980s. मीन्स 1980 मध्ये जे काही ओझोनची जी काही लेवल होती ऍटमॉस्फिअर मध्ये, तर ती आपल्याला येणाऱ्या 10 वर्षात अचीव्ह करायची होती. मीन्स 2000 और वी कॅन से द 97 पर्यंत ती आपल्याला लेवल अचीव्ह करायची होतं. हे मेजर त्यांचं एम होतं. अँड आफ्टर द टाइम मॉन्ट्रियल प्रोटोकॉल हा अपडेट होत गेला. सो आफ्टर सम टाइम की आता सीएफसी कंट्रोल मध्ये करायचं आपल्याला. मी सीएफसी तर तुम्ही रिड्यूस केलाय, कम्प्लिटली रिड्यूस म्हणजे एका लेवल पर्यंत तो रिड्यूस झालाय. बट एचएफसी हा त्याला ऑप्शन होता की सीएफसी कमी केला म्हणजे काय की सगळे एसी वगैरे यांच्यामध्ये जे काही सीएफसी असेल तो तुम्हाला रिप्लेस करावा लागेल. मग तो रिप्लेस कशाने केला एचएफसी. बट एचएफसी इज ऑल्सो ozone depleting system, but comparatively it deplete the ozone comparatively less comparatively. आपण काय म्हणू शकतो की comparatively सीएफसी पेक्षा तो कमी ओझोन डिप्लेशन करत असतो. तर त्यामुळे एचएफसी हा रिप्लेस केला होता. पण आता एचएफसी सुद्धा आपल्याला कमी करायचा आहे. म्हणजे जे काही प्रोबॅबिलिटी आहे ओझोन डिप्लीट होण्याचं त्या सगळ्या कमी करणं हे आपलं काम आहे. तर त्यामुळे किगाली 2016 किगाली अमेंडमेंट किंवा किगाली येथे कन्व्हेन्शन होते. अँड इट फोकस ऑन द रिड्यूस ओझोन लेअर डिप्लेशन अगेन, and it amends 1987 Montreal Protocol. So आता हा कशामध्ये अमेंडमेंट करणार होता 1987 च्या Montreal Protocol मध्ये. and it aims to reduce hydrofluorocarbon. what I said की हायड्रोफ्लोरोकार्बन पण आपल्याला आता कमी करायचं आहे रफली बाय 80 to 85% बाय द 2045. तर 2045 पर्यंत 2045 पर्यंत आपल्याला काय एचएफसी सुद्धा 80 to 85% पर्यंत कमी करायचं आहे. अँड इट विल बी बाइंडिंग ऑन द मेंबर कंट्रीज फ्रॉम 2019. ठीक आहे, तो 2019 पासून हा सगळ्यांवरती बाइंडिंग असणार आहे. सर असे काही टार्गेट्स आहेत जे आपल्याला ओझोन डिप्लेशन साठी कमी करायचे. सो एवढेच काही चॅप्टर होते. जनरल 3 चॅप्टर आज आपण डिस्कस केले की अवर एन्व्हायरमेंट, व्हॉट इज एन्व्हायरमेंट, देन इकोसिस्टम काय आहे, त्यानंतर कॉम्पोनंट्स ऑफ इकोसिस्टम काय आहेत, त्यानंतर मग आपण डिस्कस केलं की साधारण ओझोन डिप्लेशन काय असेल किंवा ओझोन लेअर काय आहे आणि वेस्ट ओव्हरऑल वेस्ट मॅनेजमेंट कसं असेल एक्सेट्रा. की सर आपण काही क्वेश्चन डिस्कस करूया आता. सो अन इकोसिस्टम इज अन अनडिस्टर्ब नॅचरल एरिया सिस्टम ऑफ ऑर्गॅनिझम अँड देअर एन्व्हायरमेंट एरिया रिच इन वाईल्ड लाईफ हॅव्हिंग नो ह्युमन्स. सो नक्कीच हा कॅन्सल झाला पाहिजे है ना. सो व्हेरी लार्ज एरिया of uniform environment condition. So it is not anywhere mentioned. So that is the important thing, system of organism and their environment. So that is the important thing की आपण already बघितलं याला की system of organism and their environment is known as ecosystem. Okay, next is the function of an ecosystem involves flow of energy the function, they are asking about the function of ecosystem involves flow of energy and circulation of nutrient. Next, an increasing simplicity of relation, so that is nowhere mentioned. Okay, so increasing animal population, then increasing number of tree bushes. So definitely we already discussed. You also try to solve such question. The function of an ecosystem involves flow of energy. We already see that की ecosystem मध्ये प्रत्येक layer ला energy flow होतोय and circulation of nutrients means nutrients पण काय होतं next level ला circulate होतात. So that is the ecosystem means flow of energy and circulating nutrients. So answer is A. So I will stop now. Just try to answer this question. So I will read only question. The biotic components of an ecosystem can be divided into functional categories on the basis of food or energy source. So each such group of an organism forms a, yes, topic community, food chain, food web, species or organism. Okay. So I think I given you a valid time. ठीक है. So हम discuss करते हैं अभी. The biotic component of an organism, sorry, of an ecosystem can be divided into functional categories. So ecosystem आपण बघा 3-4 categories मध्ये डिवाइड केल्या होत्या. तर त्या कोणत्या होत्या की फर्स्ट प्रोड्युसर आहे टॉपिक लेवल 1, कंझ्युमर आहे टॉपिक लेवल 2, secondary consumer topic level 3, etc. So these are the topic community. So where components of an ecosystem can be divided into functional categories on the basis of food energy source. Every level ला काय होते energy loss होते किंवा food change होते food pattern. So these are the topic community. So the answer is topic community. Okay. And next question is, with the reference to UV radiation of the sun, consider the following statement. First is the UV radiation of wavelength longer than the UVB. Okay, UV radiation of the wavelength longer than UVB are completely absorbed by Earth ozone layer. Then UVB causes skin cancer and snow blindness. Okay. Then next is Montreal Protocol is considered with the controlling emission of ozone depleting substance. So what is the answer? Yes, please try to attempt those questions. Yes, I think I given you a valid time. Okay, so yes, UVB causes a skin cancer. Okay, but what is the snow blindness? So it is not anywhere mentioned. So Montreal Protocol is concerned with the, yes, controlling the emission of ozone depleting substance. So that is the right. And UV radiation wavelength longer than UVB. So completely absorbed by the Earth's ozone. Yes. So answer will be 1 and 3. So that is the answer. So next question is the, with reference to the food chain, consider the following statement. Only 10% of the energy is transferred to each tropic level from the lower tropic level. Okay. Then the flow energy take place in both directions in the food chain. The natural interconnection of food chains makes it a food web. So which are the correct options? Just take your time. The question is about food chain. Yes. So only 10% energy is transferred. Yes, definitely. I already repeatedly said that 10% in energy is transferred. So one is right. So the flow energy takes place in both direction in food chains. No, because there is no reverse energy transmission in the food chain. Only one words means only upward does the flow on. So it is the wrong. Okay, the natural interconnection of food chains make it food web. Definitely right. So only 1 and 3 is the answer. Okay, so answer is D, 1 and 3. Okay, so next is the base of ecological pyramid represent the base means producer, or the first topic level. We can say the first topic level is producer, and while the apex present, yes, try now, you can try this, and obviously apex means tertiary or top level. Okay, so the answer is A. So answer is A. Okay, so I hope you get all the points. And yes, one more question is there. With reference to the food chains in ecosystem, consider the following statement. A food chain illustrates the order in which a chain of organisms feed upon each other. Yes, and the food chain are found within the population of a species. Next is the food chain illustrate the number of each organisms which are eaten by the others. So what is the answer? Yes, take your time and correct. You have to choose the correct one. Okay, so let's discuss. A food chain illustrate the order in which a chain of an organism feed upon each other. So one is the right. Okay, so one is must be right because there is a chain of organism feed upon each other. Yes, definitely. Food chain are found within the population of species. So that is the wrong statement because I already show you that slide. That is individual means single species, and when the number of species, same species is increased, same species is increased, so it is known as the population. So only population मध्ये interaction कसं होईल फूड चेनचं? मल्टिपल कम्युनिटी पाहिजे तिथे, मीन्स मल्टिपल टाइप ऑफ स्पीसीज असतील तरच हे इंटरॅक्शन होईल. सो सेकंड इज द रॉंग वन. ओके, सो सेकंड काय झालं इथे रॉंग झालं. ओके, सो नेक्स्ट इज फूड चेन इल्युस्ट्रेट द numbers of each organisms which are eaten by the others. So number is nowhere mentioned, only interaction आपलं important आहे. So third is also wrong. So only one is the answer. Okay. So I hope you understand the session. So if you want to know, get the more information about the different material of the UPSC, you can check our Telegram channel, that is Simplify IAS, and you can see more videos related to the environment on the Simplify IAS YouTube channel also. Okay. So thank you.